scientists have created the first human-animal hybrids in a major breakthrough which could address a critical shortage of donor organs.
These are literally hybrids of people and animals, and of course this is not really people and animals, right? This is made by AI.
And if human bodies are bioengineered, would we evolve into a new species of life altogether, becoming less human and more alien?
Each new scientific discovery brings us closer to a chilling possibility, compelling us to question the ethics of tampering with life itself. From Dolly the sheep, whose premature aging raised alarms, to the cloned cats Copycat and Rainbow, who highlighted the significant impact of the environment, the stakes are incredibly high. What if these scientific marvels hint at a frightening reality we could soon bring to life through genetic experiments? Let us delve into why these genetically modified beings might already be among us. The ethical maze of modern cloning. In a world increasingly shaped by genetic engineering's strides, the march of scientific discovery presses forward, weaving a web of intricate ethical dilemmas. This field, burgeoning with potential, stands at the frontier of human capability, holding the power to redefine the boundaries of life itself. Yet, as the horizon of possibility expands, so too does the maze of moral questions, challenging age-old perceptions of nature and existence. Consider Dolly the sheep, the famous first mammal cloned from an adult cell, born in 1996 at the Roslin Institute in Scotland. Named after the singer Dolly Parton, her creation was celebrated worldwide. Yet, despite the initial excitement, Dolly's later life, plagued by early aging and health complications, sparked debates about whether cloning is safe and right. Then we have Copycat and Rainbow, the first cloned cats, brought into the world at Texas A&M University. Even though they came from the same DNA, these cats didn't look or act the same, proving that the environment plays a big role in how living beings turn out. And don't forget about Snuppy, the first cloned dog, who came from Seoul National University in South Korea. His birth wasn't just a milestone, it opened doors to new research in dog genetics. The story gets even more intense with Alpha and Beta, two monkeys cloned by scientists in China. Their arrival in 2018 marked a huge step forward, showing that even primates can be cloned. This achievement moved us closer to the possibility of cloning humans, making us wonder about the ethical lines of such actions. Over just 22 years, cloning technology has developed quickly, but at what cost? Each new development seems to bring us one step closer to cloning humans, raising questions about ethics and safety. These advancements lead us toward a future where creating human-animal hybrids might not just be a plot from a science fiction story, but a real possibility. The debate around this is growing, not only in scientific circles, but also in the media and popular culture, shaping how we think and feel about these possibilities. Is this progress in cloning helping us learn more about genetics, or are we moving too fast into a future we might not be ready for? With each new development in cloning, we face new ethical challenges that question whether we should continue down this path. As we explore the limits of what we can achieve with cloning, it's crucial to keep asking not only if we can do something, but also if we should. So, as we move forward, it's essential to keep these discussions alive, involving not just scientists, but everyone in society. The potential to clone humans raises significant concerns that need careful thought and broad agreement on what should and should not be permissible. Let's ensure that our pursuit of scientific breakthroughs doesn't lead us to overlook the important questions about what it means to tamper with the very fabric of life. It's quite something how quickly the world has come to accept the notion of blending human and animal genetics. Take Japan, for instance. A country known for its rigorous regulations has recently removed its restrictions on creating human-animal hybrids. This shift places Japan among a group of nations, pushing the envelope of acceptable medical science. Globally, this issue has divided the scientific community into two distinct groups. One group operates with few limits, eagerly exploring these controversial experiments. Meanwhile, other countries adhere to more traditional views, allowing only basic initial research in this area. This dichotomy highlights a significant split in approaches to biomedical ethics and scientific exploration. Reports have emerged about scientists advancing beyond simple laboratory genetics to more complex integrations of human and animal biology. For example, at the Guangzhou Institutes of Biomedicine and Health, researchers have been experimenting with pig embryos. They genetically modified these embryos to lack the ability to develop kidneys, and then introduced human stem cells. These embryos were then implanted in a sow and allowed to develop for up to 28 days. Although primarily composed of pig cells, these embryos exhibited significant incorporation of human cells, including in their brains. Remarkably, the kidneys developed within these embryos were predominantly human. This groundbreaking achievement suggests the future possibility of using animals to grow human organs. Such a method could revolutionize organ transplantation, offering a new source of organs for patients in need. However, the ethical implications are profound, raising questions about the nature of these chimeric beings and the potential consequences of such scientific advancements. As one controversy fades, another emerges on a mysterious island, the New Haunted Territory. Switching focus to a different kind of controversy, Plum Island in the United States has become synonymous with strange occurrences and unexplained animal sightings. Officially, the island serves as a research facility for studying diseases like foot and mouth disease. However, its reputation is clouded by incidents and sightings of unidentifiable animal carcasses found washed up near the facility. This has fueled speculation about the nature of the experiments conducted on the island. One notable incident involves the so-called Montauk monster, an animal carcass with an unusual appearance that puzzled onlookers and experts alike. This creature, which seemed to possess characteristics of several different animals, was found on a beach near Plum Island, not just once, but on multiple occasions. The repeated appearance of such an oddity has led to rampant speculation about its origins and the activities on Plum Island. These events have stirred the public's interest and skepticism about the kinds of research and experiments being conducted in such secretive environments. While scientists may aim to advance medical knowledge or protect against diseases, the mysterious nature of these incidents leaves many people uneasy. A world where scientific breakthroughs are happening at an unprecedented pace. These developments in genetic manipulation and the strange happenings at places like Plum Island present a mix of potential and peril. As these boundaries of science continue to expand, they challenge our conventional understanding of ethics and the natural order. How society responds to these challenges will shape the future of science and its role in our lives. Thus, we find ourselves in an era where the reality of tomorrow seems only a step away from the fictions of yesterday, making us question what it means to be human in an increasingly engineered world. The account of the Long Island autopsy details a black male, approximately 6 feet tall, with a notably solid frame and exceptionally long fingers. Years later, in 2012, another strange event occurred when a creature appeared on a Manhattan shore, quickly named the Manhattan Monster. This creature had a peculiar look, somewhat resembling a pig or a dog, yet it was clear it was neither. The explanations offered were less than convincing, with the New York Parks Department suggesting it was merely a pig left over from a barbecue, hardly a satisfying explanation, considering no one buries a perfectly good pig after a cookout. The shift to discussions of genetic modification seems drastic, but follows a disturbing trend. The term chimera in science refers to beings created with genetic materials from different species, typically produced in labs. This process starts with embryos, combining human and animal cells in creatures like pigs or sheep to explore human development and diseases. Then there's xenotransplantation, which involves transplanting organs from animals into humans to address organ shortages. And finally, researchers develop mice with human-like immune systems to better understand human diseases. These creatures, transformed into tools for human benefits, highlight a troubling disregard for natural boundaries. This scientific venture into creating life forms echoes the ancient fascination with mythical beasts. Historical tales from different cultures have long depicted chimeras, creatures composed of various animal parts, as symbols of fear and power. From the Greek chimera, a fire-breathing monster, to the Lamassu of Mesopotamia, a guardian figure, these creatures blended traits of lions, snakes, and other animals, embodying the mysteries and fears of their times. Europeans and Persians had their versions, such as the lion men and the hippogriff, creatures that straddled the line between the real and the fantastical. Our current engagement with genetic chimerism suggests a continuity of this age-old intrigue with hybrid beings, now armed with the tools of genetic engineering. Instead of sculpting mythical creatures in stone, we are now designing them in scientific labs, merging DNA across species to breach the limits set by nature. This pursuit, while groundbreaking, also raises ethical concerns about the extent of human intervention in nature. The historical myths that featured chimeras served as cautionary tales about the dangers of overreaching, lessons that remain relevant as scientists push the boundaries of genetic science. With strange creatures appearing, we delve deeper into genetic manipulation, the blurred lines between species. As we venture further into the domain of creating genetically modified organisms, it's critical to reflect on the implications of these actions. Are these scientific advancements merely a modern expression of our ancestral fascination with creating formidable creatures? Or do they represent a problematic overstep in our relationship with the natural world? The biblical and historical references to creatures like the lion men of Moab, once dismissed as mere stories, now find real-world counterparts in the laboratories of today. This raises significant questions about the consequences of blurring the distinctions between species, a topic that both fascinates and alarms as we continue to explore the limits of our scientific prowess. As we embrace these capabilities, we must also consider the ethical dimensions and potential repercussions of our quest to manipulate the building blocks of life. The Book of Genesis, Abraham's quest to find a burial site for his wife, Sarah, introduces us to a character named Ephron from the Hittites. While this might seem like a basic deal for land, there's more under the surface. Ephron, whose name means fawn, contrasts sharply with the meaning of Hittites, which is terrors, highlighted by their powerful images in ancient carvings. These carvings aren't just for decoration, they symbolize control and power. It's quite interesting how this simple transaction is portrayed as something significant, whereas it was likely just a typical day-to-day deal. Yet, here we are, many years later, reading it as if it were a major event filled with spiritual meaning. Back then, the people who wrote these stories were like today's public relations experts, turning ordinary events into legendary tales to be told for generations. Turning to mythical creatures, the text mentions beings like the Persian Greek griffin and the famous chimera of Arezzo. These creatures weren't just imaginary, they were symbols that captured the fears or values of society, similar to how today's superheroes combine human and supernatural features to convey certain messages. Let's think about why these grand stories were created. Ancient societies used myths to explain things they didn't understand or to keep order. Today, these stories are like how we use the internet, a tool to help us understand and navigate the world. The Book of Revelation brings in apocalyptic visions with creatures that seem straight out of a fantasy, like locusts with human faces or lions that breathe out smoke and fire. These aren't just creative details. They're used strategically as metaphors to possibly represent the nature of war, the inevitability of destruction, or the dual aspects of human nature. These ancient descriptions of fearsome beasts are similar to how today's media often makes military equipment seem more terrifying, focusing on their ability to destroy rather than their strategic uses. Whether we look at ancient texts or modern stories, the way narratives are crafted hasn't changed much. Real-life issues are wrapped in metaphors and dramatic imagery, letting people interpret them through their own experiences and fears. This storytelling technique effectively discusses topics like war, power, and morality without directly mentioning them. This tradition of storytelling, using elaborate tales to cover deeper truths, continues to be a common narrative technique across different cultures and times. It makes us question not just the stories themselves, but also why we continuously feel the need to turn our real experiences into such complex tales. This enduring method of storytelling tells us as much about ourselves as it does about our history, showing that while the forms and languages of our stories may evolve, the core ways we communicate and understand our world remain deeply rooted. The ongoing battle between darkness and light, the situation is far from simple. CERN, a giant in the scientific community, often finds itself under the microscope, scrutinized for its involvement with concepts like antimatter. Discussions about such complex subjects are deep and convoluted, and some argue these deserve their own focused discussions rather than mere mentions. The representation of Satan as a beacon of false light brings an additional layer of complexity. This portrayal extends to public figures like celebrities and politicians who are seen covering one eye, a gesture interpreted by some as allegiance not to the pure light of Jesus Christ, but to a darker, more malevolent power. Revelation's symbols merge with modern concerns about authority and progress. A beast from the sea. The story then moves to the mystical visions in the Book of Revelation. Here, a terrifying beast rises from the sea, crowned and marked with names that insult the holy. This beast represents powerful, scary forces in society, shown with different animal parts to emphasize its frightful nature. People react oddly to this beast. They're drawn to it and even worship it. Everyone is amazed by the beast's seeming recovery from a fatal wound, a trick meant to dazzle and trick them. This situation highlights a troubling tendency of people to follow and honor powerful figures, no matter their true intentions. This acceptance of monsters, as told in the Bible, is similar to how people in the past believed in unnatural creatures. It makes us wonder about the nature of the spirits inside these beasts. Are they from heaven or hell? Today's fascination with changing genes, often seen as a needed step forward, brings up arguments about the rights and wrongs of changing the basic design of life. Scholar Rob Skiba digs deeper into these topics, urging us to think critically about what might look like progress. Is it really moving forward, or is it messing with life's core elements? The talk about light, darkness, and the legendary creatures in Revelation acts as both a symbolic and real warning. It reflects deep worries about where our society's values and actions might lead, especially when influenced by powerful people who might appear good. This story warns us to check the intentions of important people and powers that attract and might mislead us. It's a reminder to stay alert and critical, making sure that what looks like progress doesn't harm the very essence of keeping nature and divine order sacred. Rob weaves through Bible stories and movie tales, telling a gripping account of ancient beings called Nephilim. He says they first appeared around 3,550 BC, mixing with humans and quickly growing in number. According to Rob, these hybrid beings lived destructively for 500 years before they were meant to destroy each other. The heavenly beings known as Watchers, who started this mix, were later punished and locked away. Rob discusses how the spirits of the Nephilim, beings destroyed long ago, lingered and sought new bodies, leading to troubling genetic experiments. He uses Dr. Judd Burton's theories to argue that these spirits turned into demonic forces. Rob dives into ancient texts and unproven theories to claim that mixing DNA from different species is dangerous. He points out that this might create ideal bodies for demonic entities, drawing from biblical views on the soul, or nephesh. Expanding on this, Rob classifies dinosaurs into two groups: those created by God, like plant eaters, and meat eaters like velociraptors and T-Rexes, which he believes were born from ancient genetic tweaks aimed to produce evil creatures. He ties biblical stories to the origin of dinosaurs, showing how wide-ranging his theory is. Moreover, Rob links these old genetic experiments with today's worries about transhumanism, hinting at a cycle of human excess and divine punishment. He ends his talk with a nod to Genesis 6:3, viewing it as a heavenly caution against messing with nature. Rob weaves together theology, myths, and pop culture in a tale about the risks of meddling with natural processes. His story warns that past mistakes should guide today's genetic adventures. By blending religious beliefs with speculative science, Rob's detailed argument warns about both the historical and future dangers of genetic tinkering. This broader conversation isn't just about old religious and mythical stories. It's a commentary on our constant push and fear about genetic engineering. Ancient wisdom meets modern science, raising ethical questions, the hidden cost of genetic advancement. By situating his analysis in both ancient and modern contexts, Rob invites his audience to consider the long-standing human desire to transcend natural limitations, juxtaposed with the potential moral and spiritual costs. His use of scriptural references and scientific conjecture bridges the gap between past beliefs and current technological capabilities, making the case that these ancient stories might serve as warnings for today's world. The complexity of Rob's theories, blending scriptural interpretation with genetic science, opens a dialogue about the boundaries of human innovation and the ethical implications of crossing these boundaries. Whether one views his theories as insightful or far-fetched, they certainly challenge the listener to think critically about the role of ancient wisdom in contemporary scientific debates. The concept that media, including films, TV shows, and books, shapes what we think and feel is not exactly new. Some people argue that this is not just by chance, but done on purpose. They believe that powerful groups use the media to prepare us for future changes in society. By introducing new ideas through stories, these ideas seem less strange and more normal when they actually happen in the real world. Take superheroes, for example. They are not just comic book characters anymore. They have become a major industry involving movies, TV shows, and lots of products. This goes beyond just having fun. It sets a standard. Superheroes, often created through genetic changes, are shown as the ultimate example of what people could become. Whether their powers come from being bitten by a spider or from falling into a strange chemical, these characters represent an ideal combination of the best physical and moral qualities that normal people can only dream about. Interestingly, most superheroes have abilities and physical features that are far beyond what is normally possible for humans. The message here is twofold. First, being average is no longer enough. And second, becoming extraordinary is only possible through extreme and sometimes questionable scientific methods. The story doesn't just end with admiration for these genetically modified heroes. It also involves a hero complex. In many stories, the entire planet is in danger, and who saves it? Not an ordinary person, but someone who has gone beyond human limits thanks to genetic experiments. This theme often overlaps with religious stories of the end of the world, where superheroes come out of portals to fight off cosmic threats. Much like the biblical heroes face challenges at the end of times, these stories also strongly push genetic engineering as normal. Presented as a solution to diseases, improving food, or making stronger soldiers, these media stories paint a picture of a world where changing genes is not just okay, but necessary for survival. The discussion about whether this is right or wrong is often ignored, replaced by a story where the results justify the methods used. In the world shown in these stories, mixing human and animal traits is common and even celebrated. But this brings up a big question. When do we lose what makes us human? The Bible warns about times like the days of Noah, when natural limits were crossed, and strange hybrids existed. However, the Bible emphasizes the importance of human life, created in the image of God, which contrasts with the media's celebration of hybrid superheroes. Combining biblical warnings with stories about superheroes serves a specific goal. It changes how we think about where our salvation comes from, shifting it from God to heroes created by humans. This kind of storytelling sparks our interest in transcending our human limitations or supporting others who seem to do so. However, according to biblical teachings, salvation is intended for human beings, not for those who are part human, part something else. These narratives about superheroes and genetic engineering become more common in media. They slowly change our expectations and beliefs. By making the extreme seem normal, these stories prepare us for a future where such things might become a reality. This strategy of slowly introducing and repeating themes makes the audience more accepting of them. It's important to remain aware of these influences and consider their implications on our values and perceptions of what it means to be truly human. In modern media, the themes of superheroes and genetic engineering are increasingly woven into storylines, reflecting both our dreams and fears about the future of genetic technology. Here's a deeper look at how these concepts play out across various stories, each one exploring different facets of this intriguing topic. In the movie The Amazing Spider-Man, we encounter Dr. Connors, a scientist driven by the noble goal of limb regeneration. His experiments, however, take a dark turn, transforming him into a creature far removed from his human self. This transformation underscores a recurring message. The pursuit of scientific breakthroughs can lead to unintended and often dangerous consequences. The narrative combines the excitement of superhero fiction with critical questions about the limits and responsibilities of science. Gattaca presents a future where genetic makeup determines one's place in society. Vincent, the protagonist, is considered genetically inferior and thus faces immense obstacles in his quest to travel to space. The film serves as a stark warning about the potential for genetic technology to reinforce social inequalities. It compels viewers to consider a future where human worth is measured by genetic conditions, prompting a reflection on the value of diversity and the dangers of a genetically predetermined hierarchy. Okja introduces a genetically engineered super pig, central to a tale that blends corporate greed with deep emotional bonds. The film explores the ethical dilemmas surrounding genetic engineering for consumer benefits, highlighting the complex relationships humans have with genetically modified organisms. It portrays the bond between Miha, a young girl, and Okja, her super pig, offering a poignant critique of how genetic engineering might be misused while celebrating the emotional connections that can transcend scientific manipulation. Deadpool, with its irreverent humor, tells the story of Wade Wilson, who becomes a superhero after an experiment meant to cure his cancer gives him extraordinary healing powers. This film tackles the theme of genetic modification with a lighthearted approach, showing how such advancements can lead to both miraculous cures and profound challenges. Deadpool's character deals with his new abilities and disfigurement, providing a comedic yet insightful commentary on the personal impacts of genetic engineering. Blade Runner delves into the existential implications of bioengineered beings known as replicants, designed to serve human needs. These beings challenge our understanding of humanity, consciousness, and the ethical treatment of creatures that exhibit human-like qualities. The film questions the moral implications of creating life solely for exploitation and confronts audiences with the profound ethical considerations that come with advanced genetic technologies. In Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan features Khan, a genetically engineered superhuman whose enhanced abilities lead to superior intellect and strength, but also hubris and tyranny. This storyline explores the potential for genetic engineering to amplify both the best and worst traits of humanity. The clash between Khan and Captain Kirk brings to the forefront the themes of power, revenge, and the consequences of humanity's quest for perfection through genetic manipulation. These stories collectively paint a rich tapionscape of the potential futures shaped by genetic engineering. They explore the promise of curing diseases, enhancing human capabilities, and even creating new forms of life, while also cautioning against the ethical, social, and moral dilemmas that such technologies may bring. Each narrative invites us to dream about the possibilities of genetic advancements, while carefully considering the ethical boundaries we might need to establish as we advance into a genetically engineered future. What are your thoughts on the ethical implications of genetic engineering in humans? Does it enhance or diminish our humanity? Like, comment, and subscribe to join the discussion.